Well, we're here. I don't know if anybody's watching at the moment. It says 0 viewers. One viewer. Right, so I know that I'm live. I know that I'm live. So, Palestine Action has got a live Zoom call on at the moment, and I'm invading it, which is a bit naughty of me. A little bit naughty of me. This is a Palestine Action thingy. What's it?
Hi everyone. Okay, I think we're going to begin. I just want to start off by thanking everyone
This is Huda Amori.
for all the
She
support we've
is
been shown over
one
the
of
past
the
5 years since we launched in
leaders
2020.
of this
But it's been
organisation that has
incredible
just been
to see and so
proscribed
uplifting to see how much support has come
and
out
failed the
these
appeal.
past, I think it's just been 2 weeks since they first announced that they wanted to prescribe us, to the point that we are at now. I do have, thankfully, Tim Crossland here from Defend Our Juries, who will be talking about their plans to resist the ban. But first of all, I just want to give people an update, but also just to talk about
So this is what happened
why
today.
we founded Palestine Action, what's brought us to this point, and why solidarity with Palestine is more important
failed
than ever.
their appeal today.
Palestine Action was founded by myself and a few others, and it really was just a handful of us with some spray paint that we grabbed from home,
Very
adamant to go and
naughty
take direct action
enigma.
against Elbit systems. And the reason we did this was because there felt like there were no avenues through the political process. That every time
Is that any better to hear me?
To respect Palestinian human rights, to stop arming Israel, and to listen to facts and reason, we were constantly ignored. And we know why that is. It's more convenient to go along with the Israel lobby line than it is to actually respect the Palestinians' right to freedom and to dignity. And we felt like the only option was to take direct action. That if the government wasn't going to sanction Israel, we were going to go to
direct criminal
Israel's
action,
biggest weapons manufacturer, and shut down their sites ourselves, even if that meant getting arrested,
smashing them up,
meant facing what we now face today. Elbit Systems, for context, is Israel's biggest weapons manufacturer. They were actually founded in 1966, a year before my own father was forced out of Palestine, forced out by bullets from the Israeli military.
I need braces as well, Enoch.
The company grew on the fact that it could test their weapons whilst building the occupation, maintaining the apartheid system, and massacring Palestinians. And in order to build the Zionist project, they had to make these weapons, and they could market them as tested on Palestinians, and then sell them to governments across the world. When we started, there were 10 Elbit sites operating in Britain, several factories, and 2 headquarters. And we would go out, just a few of us, to take action repeatedly. We didn't start off with money. We didn't start off with much except for our own determination to shut down Elbit Systems. And
shut it down!
Grew with more people joining the mission to take direct action against the Israeli war machine. Over the years, we've grown from a few people to, I can't even calculate how many supporters.
To a large bunch of terrorists, yes, we know.
That we're at max capacity for 1,000 meeting room on Zoom just shows how much we have grown. In that time, countless people have put their liberty on the line, have faced prison, remand, in order to shut down Elbit Systems and to target those who work with and facilitate the Israeli weapons trade in Britain. In that time, we have forced
global weapons trade, please.
3 Israeli weapons sites in this country, including 2 Israeli weapons factories in Tamworth and Oldham. It was magnificent to see. I remember just 2 years in, when we forced shut the Oldham site with the help of the local community mobilizing day in, day out, supporting those taking action, we got rid of that factory. And at that point, we knew we could defeat Elbit Systems no matter what it took. We've also forced several companies to cut ties with Elbit, and Elbit has been forced to lose billions in lost contracts. And as the Home Secretary claims, we have cost them hundreds of millions in damages.
So this is a little bit boring at the moment. She's just going through the
people,
hatred of Elbit
government,
and what they've done to them.
The Israel lobby, the Israeli government would rather we couldn't take action against them. Since we started,
Criminal
1
action.
month in, there was a meeting between Dominic Raab, who I believe was Deputy Prime Minister at the time, and an Israeli minister, where they asked them to clamp down on us. They asked them to deter us. And what followed was a series of raids over the years, people being imprisoned, people being harassed, ridiculous charges.
They seem to think that peaceful protest includes the ability to undertake criminal actions
against Palestine Action. We've seen meetings between government ministers, the Israeli government, Elbit Systems, senior police officers, counter-terrorism police, and the CPS discussing and colluding on how to bring down Palestine Action. We've been through several court cases, some significant amount we won, we were acquitted, and that was a problem for them.
Not today, though.
That when they started pulling our people in prison, Palestine Action didn't stop taking action. So what did they do? In their latest attempt is to proscribe us and to try and deter resistance in this country for the people on Palestine.
It's proscribe, not prescribe, please.
Right now, there are 22 Palestine Action prisoners.
Rightly.
All of them are being held under counter-terrorism powers. This
Rightly.
was before, as of yet, we are not prescribed, before any prescription came into effect.
Proscription, please.
They tried to break their spirits, but we saw the 4 accused of doing the action at Bryce Norton go to court yesterday with smiles on their faces, with their fists up, and the public gallery chanting "Free Palestine" as they were carted away to go to prison. And today, after the prescription ban got voted through the House of Commons, which was little surprise considering they bundled us up with the maniacs.
Where's your RAF 4 gone? Where's your RAF 4 gone?
Of before Monday, at least. And they did this in a deliberate ploy to make it easier to prescribe us. They did a 3-line whip on the Labour Party politicians. And as we know, this is how the so-called democracy works. It doesn't work at all. We're grateful to those MPs who resisted it, who disobeyed the whip, who
Thank you, Barnsley.
For all of those who abstained, I will say, no matter what your excuse, that is a coward's move.
Unlucky,
To say
Huda.
you're worried about being seen to vote against the maniac's murder cult is the most ridiculous excuse to take away everyone's civil liberties. You are not pulling power in order to make cowardly choices and just follow the party line. This is not a system that works for the people. And it's of little surprise that it went through, considering this is the system
Solidarity
that has enabled the British colonization of Palestine ever since the Balfour Declaration.
I need my freedoms to criminally vandalize places and ruin other people's stuff.
Court of Justice, despite the countless tens of thousands of Palestinians who have been massacred, many more under the rubble, being shot at while they seek aid. What did we do? We put ourselves in between the bullets and the people at the other end.
What bullets were you in front of?
Palestinians.
What bullets were you in front of?
The tools used to kill them. Their property and their value. This is what was mentioned in court today about the value of the property, how serious
Cheers,
the
Keegan.
damage was.
See you soon.
How it may have crossed the threshold of terrorism because we caused so much damage to their property. Damage to weapons factories.
We caused damage to their property, to their factories, to their goods. We admit to our criminal activities.
We've all seen the amount of destruction that has taken place.
I do want to know what bullets she's put herself in front of.
We were too effective, and they had to do everything possible to stop us, and that was their last-ditch attempt. We put them at a point where they had to make the most draconian move on everyone's civil liberties, and I'll quote John McDonnell,
Enoch, that's naughty.
In a generation.
That's very funny, though.
Longer than that. In order to protect a foreign genocidal regime over the rights of British citizens.
We'll see, David G. We'll see if the police do enforce it, because people like me will be asking them to enforce it.
Relief to stop
we shall see.
From taking place. Unfortunately, that was rejected, and I believe the lawyers are now seeking an urgent appeal. But I will say that there's not much hope in a domestic court system at this juncture. But we will be resisting this through the courts and taking it the whole way. And I just want to thank everyone who's donated to our crowdfunder, who made our legal challenge possible. It's only just the start. It's only just the beginning. We will defeat this. And I'll also say that
it's just a rucksack.
What that means
Barnsley, that's naughty.
Supporting a prescribed group becomes a terrorist offence.
It does.
Our t-shirts.
A terrorist offence.
Becomes a terrorist offence. The terrorism laws in this country have been ridiculously broad since their inception.
From midnight tonight,
and
you are terrorists.
They have made a massive mistake with prescribing Palestine Action.
Proscribing,
what
please.
They have done is brought into question and potentially into disrepute the counter-terrorism laws, the way that they've been used to attack people's freedom of speech. Already we've seen that, not in terms of Palestine Action, but for other people. And we know how much support there is for Palestine Action. And if they think
oh man, she's talking
that
bullshit.
We'll clock off at midnight, then I think they're delusional.
14 years in jail.
In terms of direct action against Albert Systems, whilst Palestine Action may be prescribed, direct action as a tactic cannot be prescribed.
Oh, thank you very much, car crash.
Cannot be prescribed.
Much
They
appreciated.
can prescribe Palestine Action, but they cannot categorise direct action against the Israeli war machine as terrorism.
Yes,
they
they can.
In some instances, but this order is not supposed to achieve that.
They can do it under the National Security Act, the Terrorism Act, the Criminal Damage Act, the Trespass Act, and various other things to do with trespassing on military establishments.
We have heard the countless calls of people who said that they are ready to resist this ban, that they are ready to defy it. I will say, for Palestine Action, just sharing our posts after midnight can encourage the terrorism police to arrest people for terrorist offences. And we understand that there are many people who will follow us, who are vulnerable, who will unknowingly share posts and make
Tal, that's fantastic. Thank you very much.
So
but please stop doing that. You gave me a big donation yesterday or the day before. So naughty, naughty, naughty. I don't want too much of it.
That defying or resisting the ban will not happen through other groups, through unaffiliated groups and movements to Palestine Action, who I've already seen are planning to launch a campaign of civil disobedience to make the ban unenforceable. This is an attack on Palestine Action.
I don't know how to highlight them, Brojo. This is being done on OBS.
It's an attack on you.
Streamlabs OBS, not on StreamYard.
And say why Palestine Action, why you support Palestine Action. It's there to enable only one narrative to come out. But worst of all, it is an attack on the Palestinian people. It's an attack on those who are facing a genocide, who are being massacred every single day because of the Israeli bombs and the participation of the British military, and with weapons made on our doorstep. It is trying to signify a message that you should not do any effective resistance for people facing a genocide. And that is not a message that should be allowed.
They are wanting to impose a political change in society
who's been here
by criminal actions and intimidating people.
It's been incredible to
and
see.
intimidating businesses.
Ridiculous attacks from the state.
And that's why this is terrorism.
Smear campaigns, but none of that has cut through to the majority of the people who continue to support us. I want to pass on to Tim Crossland from Defend Our Juries, who will discuss the plan that they are independently of Palestine Action planning to launch in order to defy and resist the proscription.
Thank you so much, Huda. I'm just completely in awe of your poise and focus through this unbelievably pressured time, and for all you have done for Palestine Action, for the Palestinian people, and therefore for all of humanity, because crimes against humanity degrade us all. And it degrades us all if we don't stand up to that with fierce determination. And when I see so many people here tonight, I know that we've won. We've won this. Because it's the most crazy gamble the government has taken here. It's a gamble not just with...
What an amazingly emotional statement that is.
Palestine Action, that there already is.
The whole of the House of Commons voted for it. The whole of the House of Lords voted for it. Because of your criminal actions.
What little is left of it. But it's a gamble with something even more significant than that. It's a gamble with a linchpin of the colonial, imperial, extractivist way of ruling the world.
We do need to get Nick Tenconi back to Leeds, Leo. We do.
Because for a long time, that word, terrorism, has been a blight on so many communities. It's been used to suppress, it's been used to marginalise, it's been used to divide. And at the end of this, we will change the whole meaning of the word terror right across this society, because its politicisation will be exposed.
So what they're going to do is legalise criminality.
Because this policy will be rendered absurd and unenforceable. Of that, there is no doubt.
When you smash up a load of banks, you smash up a load of businesses, and then you invade a military establishment and vandalise military aircraft. No, that's terrorism.
I've studied those instruments.
We know it. You knew it.
And the linchpin of our legal system, as I see it, is international human rights. Without that, what else is there that makes law worthy of our respect?
I demand my human rights to be a free criminal to freely criminalise and vandalise stuff.
Genocide. People saying never again. That right to freedom of expression is there so that nobody falls silent in the face of evil, in the face of the horrific and the unspeakable. That's why we have the right to freedom of expression. So the idea for me as a human rights lawyer...
Hello, Mel.
...that the stroke of Yvette Cooper's pen, I need to fall silent, right, about the genocide, about the people who are complicit in it, the people who are resisting it. Well, that's crazy. It's got nothing to do with the rule of law.
Stop using your loudspeakers as a pillow, Sandy. Ha ha ha.
The three things that we're going to need to to show the gamble that this government is
This
taken.
is me, Mel,
is so
invading.
wrong. It's
I
on
have
numbers.
invaded a Palestine Action
It's not backing off for the
online
first
open
wave of
public
intimidation, and that will
video
come. There will be some intimidation
on
for
Zoom.
sure, and they will hope that that intimidation deters others.
And
as
I've
long
decided
as
to
we
stream
push
it
through that,
for your delection.
there'll be nothing they can do.
I don't
They
think
will not
that's
be
a
able
word,
to
is
cope.
it? Yeah.
And we need to stay together, and we need to be playful and creative, because there is quite a lot of fun to be had.
I have
with
no
our
idea who this
Yvette
weirdo is,
Cooper
Barnsley.
and
His
all the
name's
other
Tim
things
Crossland.
and the
He looks
images
like
and
he's
the
a bit
reporting
dodgy.
ourselves and,
I wouldn't
oh,
have him
think,
around
I'm
my
gonna
children.
Make a report to counter-terrorism police.
Yes,
Think, I've
Enoch,
seen
this
somebody
is
walking down
live
the road
right now.
with an Yvette Cooper t-shirt.
I've invaded
with a
it.
Palestine Action t-shirt. They won't be able to cope.
In a Palestine Action t-shirt. 14
The
years.
first
I want
stage
them all to get
tomorrow,
14 years.
We've got a group of people. It's about 20 people. We're going to be in Parliament Square, 1 o'clock, by the statue of Gandhi.
So anybody
Gandhi,
in
who is
London?
celebrated for taking on
Anyone in London?
imperialism,
Please turn
for
up 1 o'clock
liberating
tomorrow.
people through direct action, and there he stands.
Take your
in
video
Parliament
equipment
Square.
with you.
Just next to him is Millicent Fawcett and her banner, "Courage calls to courage everywhere." Apparently that was her comment when Emily
Did he say
Wilding,
that car crash?
the
The human
suffragette,
rights lawyer?
or Emily Davidson, the
There was
suffragette
parts
that
of
killed
stuff
at the
that
Rose.
I mean, he's so boring that, you know.
Yvette Cooper would have those statues taken down and replaced with the CEO of Elbit Systems or Lord Warnock.
Listen to
But
this
that's why we're standing
emotional
there,
projection
to
and
remember our history,
bullshit.
to remember how our
Just listen
freedoms
to it.
were won.
Exactly, Dank City. Can't
And we will
wait to
sit
watch them get
with
arrested.
signs,
Hello, Annie.
just simple signs, truthful signs, say, I oppose genocide, I support Palestine Action. Because what could be a more simple expression of our right to free expression than that? What could be a more meaningful expression?
Are you going
of
live
our
tomorrow,
right than that?
Brojo? On your birthday?
And the dilemma we set for the stay is this: if they let 20 people, among us there's a priest, there is an emeritus professor, there
Doesn't matter what people are. It matters whether they're
teachers,
terrorists.
people who've done all sorts of things.
Your shitty little organisation has
would be
been
sitting there with our
proscribed.
bits of card.
You horrible little man.
But if they leave us there, well, right from the start,
Hello, man
they
with
have
flying
shown
camera.
They do not take their own law seriously. They made
So
a
that I
mockery
can
of
look
their own law.
radiant and irradiated.
But if they arrest us and they come in with counter-terrorism police, what, you know, they're right in front of the mother of all democracies, in front of Parliament, in Parliament Square. These signs saying we don't like genocide, we support people who resist it.
Reminds you of
And we're
Scotty
arrested
Dog,
in
does it,
front of all
Barnsley?
the tourists. I mean, what does that look like?
I will wish you
But I
happy
think they're
birthday
gonna
right
have to
now
do
then,
that.
Brojo.
I think they will have to do that.
Happy birthday.
Or maybe they come for us a bit later.
Tomorrow.
It doesn't really matter. What matters is what comes after that. Because every Saturday at 1 o'clock, if those numbers double or more than double,
You can all go to
within
prison.
a very short space of time,
All of you.
counter-terrorism police, they're not going to have any of this. They've got other things to do than deal with people
We're
holding
going to
up
build
signs in
some
Parliament
Syrian
Square.
refugee camps
There's going to
somewhere
be massive frictions
and you'll just be
within
in
the
it.
political party,
That's what's gonna
within
happen.
law enforcement, within the intelligence services. They've got no good response to this. And I'm just going to
They don't want a state, Tal. They
us
certainly
who
don't
defend
want a
our
two-state
juries about
solution.
this sit. We will just be sitting there
They would have to
quietly
recognise Israel if they did that.
with our gaze lowered. We won't be talking to anyone. We'll be there for 60 minutes. not because we don't approve of other approaches and tactics and, you know, displays of passion, but because we think the best way tactically to expose the absurdity of this particular law is to be sitting there quietly with our sign, with our gaze lowered.
Oh, but Tal, don't you know we are all Palestinian? Allegedly.
It's important that there is informed consent for anyone taking part in this action, because without that, it's not a proper informed action. So it's right to talk people through just a little bit what this could mean legally.
14 years is what it could mean. 14 years.
So as of midnight tonight,
yes, midnight
I believe
tonight.
it's midnight or 1 minute past midnight or whatever the ridiculous order says, but it'll be something like that. Under Section 12 of the Terrorism Act, it will be an offence to express support for Palestine Action.
Everybody cheer!
Punishable if you go to the Crown Court with 14 years imprisonment.
14 years.
Most of the time, this doesn't
maximum
actually go
14
to
years.
the Crown Court. Think about kneecap. You know, it's been in. Most people would have seen that. It's the same sort of thing. Kneecap on a stage expressing support, allegedly for Hamas.
That was a good day out, was that, Leo?
He's on unconditional bail. So don't be too scared by that 14 years. It isn't what happens, but it's just important.
Lucy Connolly got 3 years for a tweet, so I'd imagine there might want to be a message being given out by Yvette Cooper and Keir Starmer.
A prescribed organisation such as Palestine Action. That is in fact a summary only offence, 6 months imprisonment.
6 months? It's long enough.
We're living in crazy times. This isn't really about principle.
Who wants a terrorist conviction on their CV?
Stop us doing this in numbers. So we do expect,
especially if you're a student,
to meet some intimidation tomorrow.
That's the implication. The rest of your life, because you ain't gonna get a good job. You're gonna have to work for one of these lefty organisations.
Keep it up. I'd ask anybody who's thinking of joining us tomorrow to think extremely carefully about doing that. You won't have had long to think about it. You won't have had long to think about the implications. You won't have had long to think about what it might mean if counter-terrorism police come into your house, what it might mean for people you live with, having laptops seized, phones seized. I don't know if joining us tomorrow is the right time for most people. The people who are coming tomorrow have been carefully briefed. And part of what we think we're doing is testing a little bit that state response so that others can see it.
Nan in the side chat of their Zoom just asked, if you're a dual citizen, can they deport you? The answer is yes, but you won't be taking your passport with you.
And we got a model for this that we've used with Defend Our Juries once before. Some of you will know about it, I'm guessing, a little bit. March 2023, a retired social worker, Trudy Warner, I think age 68 at the time, held up a simple sign outside in a London Crown Court with that principle of jury equity on it. Jurors have a right to acquit according to their conscience. And she held that sign because people in that court were being denied the opportunity to explain their motives for taking action. They'd been banned from using the word climate change in court. They'd been banned from using the word fuel poverty in court. They were being sent to jail if they defied that ban.
Do you reckon this guy's married?
Being told the genocide.
Do you reckon he's got the chutzpah?
Can't talk about the genocide.
He's got the testosterone to be married.
That preventing mass loss of life is no defence.
Or to make babies.
The judge didn't like it. He saw it as defiance of his authority. He had her arrested. She was sent to the Old Bailey, where exactly that same sign is actually set
Yes,
in
Annie,
marble.
you need to apply for work to need a CV.
She was then referred to
You need
the
to actually
Attorney General
work
for
to need a
contempt of
CV
court.
as well, or to
A
make a
wave of us
CV.
followed in May, 24 of us.
But all
holding up
these
the same
young
sign.
students
We were referred to
will
the
be
Attorney
looking for
General.
work.
We were interviewed by the Met Police for perverting the course of justice, a sentence with life imprisonment on it, right? We did not take it seriously because we knew this wasn't really a legal battle. It was a numbers battle. It was a political battle. We knew if we kept going, the state couldn't keep up. And by September, we had 250 people doing the same thing outside 50 courts around England and Wales. By December, we had 500 people outside every single court across England and Wales, and the state gave up. Nobody arrested for anything, let alone perverting the course of justice and life imprisonment. And the case against Trudy Warner gets dropped. The stakes were not so high. This wasn't about a linchpin of the colonial extractivist system. This wasn't an opportunity to discredit the whole government because they put so much onto this.
Do you reckon everybody's asleep listening to this guy?
Plan. And when anybody thinks about the potential risks, please let's just anchor ourselves back in what Huda has been risking, what the Filton 18 are going through right now, what the people of Palestine are going through right now, and ask ourselves whether we cannot hold up this simple and truthful sign in exercise of our democratic rights. And when hundreds of us do it and hundreds more, that is it. That is it. So that is the plan. The socials for Palestine Action, they're in a difficult position from midnight to 9. As Defend Our Juries, we're going to be putting up a new sign. That will be the place that you can register your interest in taking part in these actions. That's where you can get legal briefings if you need them. There will come a point, and we'll all see it, where the legal briefings are kind of irrelevant because it isn't about the law anymore. It's just about the numbers. And what I'm going to do, if I can, there's somebody here who should be able to pass me.
So he's promoting
of the
a massive
Telegram
expansion of a terrorist organisation.
Pull it in.
And that's going to
And
come
possibly
soon.
trying to get round the term
And then
Palestine Action.
There'll be an email chat, and the wording for this will be, "We will not comply," because we cannot comply. We cannot be complicit in the genocide. We cannot be complicit
We
in
do
this
not
repression.
comply.org.
And that's one of the ways we will get you information about what's happening. But it is a simple.
Oh, Enoch, thank you very much. Much, much, much appreciated. I'm not that much under the radar of them.
Tim. I think there's also a Telegram channel of the independent group, which I think the Zoom admin will put in shortly.
The thing is, when I'm videoing, I don't
wear
wear a mask, so I'm not hiding.
We're tremendously grateful for all
it's
those
like,
who
yeah, I'm just in their
seek
face
to
and they're in my
resist this.
face. That's
And I
about
think,
it.
the
But
groundwork
that super chat is much, much
is
appreciated.
really crucial as a to build what I could imagine being a big resistance to this. I just want to briefly just go into a little bit more.
See, I don't know
depth
whether
on
this level of promotion is actually going
laws.
to work
So,
really,
it's
really
probably
badly
interesting.
against them, which might mean
But
that
there
the
is
leaders
Section
who are
12
talking on here
expressing support
may
or
well
inviting
get
support for
14
proscribed
years.
organisation. We've seen people get targeted with this for speeches about Palestinian resistance before. And then there's the glorification, which I believe is done when you have things like T-shirts and badges, and that is a magistrate's level offence. It's a lower level offence, but you do not get a jury, whereas with the Section 12(1)(a), inviting support, you do get a jury, and obviously it's people's choice.
Michael Mouse says it's not about freedom of speech, it's about supporting people who smash up Jewish businesses.
To defeat the charges there. I think it's incredibly important that people are well briefed.
It looks like they have other people who have infiltrated.
Which is, for clarification, separate to Palestine Action, has got a legal briefing on it as well, so people can have a read through that. And when people look at charges, often we hear the 14 years, that, you know, like we get that for the criminal damage as well. They always get the maximum sentence. But a Bella Guide is looking at the sentencing guidelines on the CPS website in terms of the categories that it may.
Only a bit annoying, man with flying camera.
You know, it isn't. It does take courage, but I think with numbers, you know, the plan that you've laid out, Tim, and that others may be doing.
Diana D says, can we talk seriously about PSC stopping branches from expressing support this week? And for years, there has to be some clever messaging to reach branch members with their heads screwed on who are being shut down, and those who are misled by fear and authoritarians who don't get it. All those people are numbers and good souls waiting to be part of a genuine movement. You see, the PSC...
to the chat, and I think it's from the Zoom admin. I know there's a lot of people.
I'm assuming that's the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. All disappearing.
And people want to share that. People may not have Telegram.
I'm thinking it's the Palestine Solidarity Campaign as opposed to the Civil Service Union, which I think is also called the PSC.
Site that you can also go on.
I could be wrong on that.
I think this is something that can. You know, I can imagine you might see other cities doing it in groups of people, and having, just making it unenforceable to do this. I saw some people ask about the appeal. It is going to the Court of Appeal at 8 p.m. for a 1-hour hearing for an urgent appeal. You know, hopefully they grant interim relief. I imagine at this point they won't. And there is talks about taking it a step further, potentially pursuing other routes to suspend the effect. But as of now,
thing is, Enoch, if you hadn't been fighting them,
which is,
how would you feel about yourself? So yes, it probably was worth it, I would imagine.
The point we're at in terms of the insanity of the system, but it's just so encouraging to see how much support there is. For Palestine Action, for the Palestinian people. Is there anything else you want to add, Tim?
Oh, please no. Please no.
I think that's pretty much it. Maybe just the last thing we did write to.
20 minutes more.
Today. And to the Met Commissioner, and we said, this is what we're going to do, this is why we're going to be here, and you have a choice to make. And I think that makes it very difficult for them if they don't come tomorrow, and I think maybe this is part of the action as well. We've got nothing to be embarrassed about, we've got nothing to be ashamed about. We're upholding the law here. We're challenging.
No, you're breaking the law. Breaking the law in Britain. You're breaking Britain's law.
We're speaking out against
you
that.
Idiot.
So we're going to be open about this. And we're going to overwhelm them with our
You shouldn't be supporting the fact that there are still hostages held in Gaza, in tunnels.
This is a wonderful thing that we've got here. It really is.
With the standard innocent people standing above them to prevent any attacks on the people that are the terrorists.
People maybe expect a longer meeting. Obviously, there is a lot going on at this moment in time. So I just encourage people, maybe the Zoom admin can put it in one more time, those links, and follow Defend Our Juries. Good luck tomorrow, Tim. and everyone else.
So much, and it'd be lovely to see some people there in Parliament Square just to get a measure of it and a sense of it.
Just to
Yeah, it'd be
get
lovely to
some
see.
of those bracelets on.
Oh, sorry.
Who is
Sorry,
she
I
speaking
think the
to?
wrong telegram has been shared. I think it's meant to be. I think if you go on the We Do Not Comply
It's not meant to
website,
be the
you can see it on
IDF
there.
telegram, is it?
Thank
Oh,
you, everyone.
Naftali's.
Solidarity. Palestine will be free.
Solidarity.
And I'm sure we'll see a lot of resistance to come, and the
Solidarity.
state won't know what's hit them.
The state won't know what's hit them. They are continuing. So, ta-da. Wow. Wow. They've outdone themselves, really, haven't they? Let's see if I can pull something up. I went on to Grok earlier. And I don't know where I've got it. I think I've got it here. I think I sent it to my Gmail. Yes. Let's copy that. Now it's long. I'm going to have to really summarize this because it's quite long. Let's put it into a document and let's make it bigger. Right. Let's bring you back up here and reduce me down. Okay. So what I asked Grok was if political activists undertake sabotage or criminal damage in a prohibited place is defined under the National Security Act, such as entering an RAF base and vandalising military aeroplanes, but there is no clear foreign influence, what legislation could be used against them? And we've got the National Security Act 2023 is particularly relevant due to its focus on protecting national security and prohibited places. So we've got Section 4, which is entering or inspecting a prohibited place for a purpose prejudicial to the safety or interests of the UK. And an RAF base is likely to be classified, it actually is classified, all military bases are classified as prohibited places under the Act. It's an offence to access, enter or inspect for a purpose prejudicial to the safety or interests of the UK. The prosecution must prove that the activists' actions, vandalising airplanes on an RAF base, were intended to harm national security interests, such as disrupting military operations. Penalty: up to 7 years imprisonment or a fine or both. The challenge is the prosecution would need to show the activists' purpose was prejudicial to UK's safety or interests. If the activists argue their actions were symbolics, yeah, absolute bollocks, and not intended to harm national security, this could complicate the case. Though significant damage to military assets would likely be seen as prejudicial. Then under the National Security Act, we've got sabotage. Conduct that intentionally or recklessly damages property, including military equipment, in a way that's likely to endanger national security or public safety. Vandalising military aeroplanes could be considered sabotage if the act is likely to impair the UK's defence capabilities or endanger national security. Penalty: up to 7 years imprisonment or a fine or both. And there isn't a specific public interest defence for sabotage. The activists could argue their actions were not reckless or intentional in terms of endangering national security, though this is unlikely to succeed if the damage is significant. I do like Grok. Grok speaks in plain bloody English. Unauthorised entry to a prohibited place. It is prohibited to go on an RAF base without permission, up to 3 years imprisonment. Okay, so then you've got the Criminal Damage Act 1971. Destroying or damaging property. Vandalising military airplanes constitutes criminal damage. I can't speak today. I haven't even had any alcohol. What's wrong with me? The activists could be prosecuted for damaging RAF airplanes, as this is straightforward property damage. Prosecution would need to prove intent or recklessness in causing the damage. I think it's clear what their intent was. It's like, yeah. Which is likely given the deliberate nature of vandalism. The absence of foreign influence is irrelevant. Up to 7 years imprisonment. Or 2 years if the damage is valued at $5,000 or less. But they have now valued it at 7 million. So the higher penalty is likely. The activists could argue they had a lawful excuse, believing their actions were justified to prevent greater harm, such as environmental damage or war. However, courts are generally sceptical of such defences in cases of significant damage to public property, especially in a military context. These 4 or 5 people, white guys, as far as I can tell. Keir Starmer's going to have to start calling them far-right activist thugs and hooligans. They could be in some serious trouble here. Section 3, possessing anything with intent to destroy or damage property. E.g. spray paint that they used to actually damage it, and they carried it, up to 7 years imprisonment. You then got the Aviation Security Act 1982. What does that do? Blah, 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 up to 7 years imprisonment. Trespass on aerodromes. Penalty is a fine. Terrorism Act 2000. It could apply if the activists' actions are deemed to be something to meet the criteria for terrorism, which may complicate the legal analysis. All of these are all up to 7 years imprisonment. There's lots of various things. So the key considerations that Grok comes out with. National Security Act 2023 is likely to be the primary legislation used if the prosecution emphasises the national security implications of the sabotage. These offences carry significant penalties and are specifically designed to protect military sites. Criminal Damage Act is a more straightforward option for prosecuting property damage, requires less proof of intent to harm national security, and it very well may be used if the national security threshold is not met. The Aviation Security Act could be used to address the specific context of damaging aircraft with a focus on aviation safety. Terrorism Act would only apply if the activists' actions meet the definition of terrorism, which is a high bar and may not apply to purely political activism without clear intent to intimidate or coerce. However, they have now been proscribed. So the Terrorism Act might not be as high a bar as we think. But each of these things is just 7 years. So 7 years it shall be. Absence of foreign influence. I have no idea whether the police could actually find some foreign influence there in checking everybody's computers and mobile phones, because under the Terrorism Act, once you're charged under that, You do not have a right to silence. You must answer the questions, and you do not have the right to not give the details for opening up your phone so that they can check absolutely everything that you've been doing. Prosecution discretion, practical implications, conclusion. We'll just have the conclusion. Political activists who enter an RAF base and vandalise military airplanes without clear foreign influence could face prosecution under the National Security Act 2023 for entering a prohibited place or committing sabotage, given the national security implications. And they're complaining. They sent people to do this and they're complaining about it. Criminal Damage Act would likely apply for property damage, offering a simpler prosecution route. Aviation Security Act could address trespass or aircraft endangerment, and Terrorism Act might apply if the actions meet the terrorism threshold. For example, political intent to disrupt government operations, which is exactly their intention. So, I love Grok. I think Grok is absolutely brilliant. I'm not verified on Twitter, X. And all I have to do is go to my X account and then press Grok and then type some shit in. And then I have a discussion or an argument with Grok. And it's really interesting. So, what's been going on in the chat while I've been waffling on about what's likely to possibly happen to these people? Tao says the amount of conspiracy theories is simply unfathomable. They do like chucking them out, don't they? It's like, there's no evidence for anything that they're saying. There's just emotion and, oh, it was them that did something. Emotion, emotion, emotion. They did something, and therefore we're justified. They shouted hurty words at me, so I'm justified in slicing their necks. Right. Enoch, this epitomizes the banality of evil. Sandy doesn't feel evil. Okay. That must be just me then. They're not ashamed to make money from Jewish blood. You're right about that, Tal. I watched somebody on YouTube called Tal. Tal Oran, the travelling clat. He's very good. So is Original Sahar TV. Original Sahar TV. He's very good as well. I like both of them. And there are some other of the history ones that I like as well. Let's have a look. Blank Wall. I thought your comment where it says she looks like Ronnie James Dio, I thought that said she looks like Ronnie James's dildo, which I found it funny that my brain just went to that. I don't know. NNY, call them terrorists, Mondi. Yeah, I did. Hotel Mick, bet she mentions fundraising soon. That's another interesting one. She didn't mention fundraising, but I am pretty sure they are doing it. And any collection of money for this organisation will be classified as aiding and abetting terrorism. So, yeah, don't do it. Don't do it, people. Don't drop your shekels in that bucket. Please, don't do it. Man with flying camera. Lefty ladies never seem to be attractive, and I've seen loads of them. My mouth is closed on responding to that comment because I'm not out in the street. Oh, car crash. Tim used to be a barrister, but he was disbarred in 2023 for releasing a judgment when he shouldn't have. So, he's a failed lawyer then. Funny. I love it. And they rely on him. And that's why he's going after the legal system. We got to change the legal system because I want my locks back. Tal, what is the view in Egypt, in Israel, about how Egypt treated the pro-Palestinian protesters that turned up? I know I like laughing about the fact that the Egyptians thought they were a bunch of twats, and they beat them up and threw them like rats into cattle trucks and chucked them off as illegal immigrants or whatever. But I wonder what the general feeling is in Israel about that. Whether Israel was expecting that or expecting something different, I don't know. Your view on that would be really appreciated. Tal again says, this is unforgivable. It is an act of terrorism. You're right. You're right. Enoch, has the British government dropped the sanctions on 2 of our government ministers? I don't think they have. I don't think they have, Enoch. But I haven't been looking at that. I don't trust this government in any way, shape or form. And the thing about the police, whether the police do anything will be down to the orders that come from their chief constable. If their chief constable says, nah, leave the lefties alone, they're all right, they might do property damage, they might kick somebody, they might hit you with something, but hey, they're just emotionally impacted by the war. But if somebody that's countering them is wearing a mask, you need to jump on them, give them a bit of a punch, you know, and get them in the back of that van with extremely tight bracelets on. David G, if this was 1950, they would have been hung by now. It ain't 1950, but treason, as far as I'm concerned, is something that should be considered. The leaders in Britain sold the public cheaply. I agree, Tal. Enoch's having problems with the YouTube censor bots. It's not me, it's not me. YouTube doesn't want me saying what I'm trying to post. David G's being risque. Ooh, misses. What we got here? Leo says, big strong Leeds lads, let's get rugby scrum teams of lads on the hedgerow in Leeds on Saturday and citizens arrest anyone praising Palestine Action to help the police. I would seriously love the Leeds United service crew to decide to walk up the hedgerow or down the hedgerow directly at these people on a Saturday afternoon in Leeds and see what they do. The police would suddenly get very, very scared. I miss a lot, Sandy. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Okay, just going through the last bit. I think I'm done. I think I'm done. Done. And I am planning on being out tomorrow. I wasn't, but the dog got picked up, which is great. Which means I have the Saturday off. I had the dog all last weekend, and I was thinking I had the dog all this weekend. But no, it's been picked up and carted off by its mother. So I am free. So, yeah, I may well be out tomorrow, live, somewhere in the north of England, more than likely Leeds, or maybe somewhere close-ish. And we've been going for an hour, so an hour is a perfect time for shutting this down. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much for the super chats, those of you who gave it. Tal, stop doing it. You've sent me too much bloody money. So anybody who wants to give me a super chat, make it a small amount. I don't need a lot of money. I don't need bribing for $100. No. A small equivalent of buying me a cup of coffee is absolutely perfect. Or alternatively, just being in the side chat and contributing. Fantastic.